Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. In another 2 to 3 minutes, we'll start our session. Let's wait for others to join. And today we'll be going to discuss about methods. Right. So I hope I'm audible. Fine. So let's start the session. In the last class, we concluded variables concept in the last class. Now in this session, we'll be going with methods concept, and which is going to be an important in Java. Let me share my screen. So see, we discussed a few things here. Java buzzwords we discussed, and we have seen overview of Java. We have seen data types, variables, arrays. I will discuss later, and these expressions are all these things in one single PPT. Will be closing all these things. We'll be going with this classes we discussed. What do you mean by class and all we have discussed. And the next thing that we are going to discuss is methods. We need to discuss now, and how the methods we are going to write inside a class and all we'll be discussing. And after discussing these methods, I would like to discuss about blocks followed by typecasting, which is not there here, but I would like to discuss about the typecasting concept. And then arrays will be going, I'll be discussing about arrays. And later this expressions and what all these things will complete in one single PPT. No need to worry much about this. Or else after completion of methods and blocks, we'll be going with this operators, expressions, control statements followed by what? Arrays. Okay. So this method binding, overriding, all these things will come one by one. As I discussed about encapsulation topic in the while discussing about the variables, instance variables concept, I discussed about encapsulation concept, right? And don't get worry about by seeing this much of syllabus, especially about this inheritance. All these things, that means inheritance concept, inheritance basics, member access. These things we can complete in one single class. This one line we can complete in one single class, but more time will be taken per polymorphism. It takes a lot of time, polymorphism, it takes a lot of time. And these things are what? Again, theory classes, theory concepts, specialization, specification, extension, all these things are what? Theory concepts. We can discuss those things in one single day. And don't worry about the syllabus aspect because If you think in that direction, then we can complete the syllabus like anything. But the thing is, after completion of this, at least the students who are listening, hardly 10, 15 members or 20 members who are listening to this class, and they might be losing the things. Okay, so that's the reason I'm going very slow. But anyhow, while going with the lab internal and lab external, definitely you will be, if you're not going to listen, and you will be facing, you will face a lot of problems. Okay. Right. Let's go with these things. We discussed about variables concept. What do you mean by variable? We've seen types of variables: instance variables, local variables, instance variables, and then static variables we discussed. For local variable means the variable which was declared inside a method can be considered as local variable, and the variable which was declared outside the class, inside the class, outside a method, can be considered as what? Instance variable. Can be considered as what? Instance variable, right? So that we discussed, and we discussed about static variable, the variables which were declared inside a class by using a keyword called static, and those variables can be called as what? Static variables. And the special things that you need to remember for instance and static variables is that for every creation of object, separate memory will be allocated for instance variables. And whereas for static variables, only once the memory is going to be allocated, and it was shared by all the objects. If one object is manipulating the static variable, and there will be an effect on another objects. And that is what the difference between instance and then static variables. Okay, so this is the thing. And let's have a discussion about scope of variable and lifetime of variable. So what do you mean by scope? What do you mean by lifetime? General words. What do you mean by scope? What do you mean by lifetime? Can anyone respond? What do you mean by scope? What do you mean by lifetime? Respond, students.
Scope means visibility of a variable.
Very good. And the lifetime means, what's the lifetime?
The period up to which a variable is active.
Yes, very good, right? So scope means over what part of the program the variable is going to be visible. For example, your program consists of 1,000 lines. In that 1,000 lines of code, on what part of this code the variable is going to be alive, the variable can be used, or what part of the region the variable is going to be used, or the variable is going to be available. That is what the scope. And what do you mean by lifetime? The amount of time the variable exists in memory. The amount of time the variable exists in memory can be considered as a lifetime. See, every variable in any programming language, this variable consists of two properties: scope and lifetime. The scope and lifetime, the meaning is going to be same. The meaning is going to be same. If you declare some variable, and that variable consists of scope, and that variable consists of what? Lifetime. See, if you consider here, what do you mean by scope? Means the scope of variable defines the location, or defines the, not location, defines the section of the code in which the variable is visible, in which the variable is going to be visible. Suppose you are written what some thing like this. You are taken one function m1, and m1 function you are taken, and you are taken what some other functions in your program. Let us assume, let us go with the notepad or paint will be going better. Suppose we have something like this class space demo. Inside this class demo, I taken some function called void space m1, m2. Okay, so in this m1 and m2 function, we'll be having some set of variables. Suppose I'm taking some variable called a inside this m1, and again I'm taking some variable called b inside this m2. That means this m1, the scope of this a variable is within this m1 itself. It cannot be used outside this m1. And the scope of this b is within this m2 itself. It cannot be used outside this m2. Suppose if I'm going to declare some variable called int space c, and the c can be used entire class. The c can be used what? Entire class. That means it can be used by m1 method, it can be used by m2 method, it can be used by any other method that we are going to take inside a class called demo. Inside a class called what? Demo. That means here the scope of the C is within this complete class, and the scope of this A is within this M1, and the scope of this B is within this M2. It cannot be used outside this M2, and A cannot be used outside M1. The scope of A within that M1 function or M1 method, and the scope of B is within that M2 method. M2 method. That's what the meaning of scope. Where we can use it, where the variable is going to be available for us to use. Okay, if you declare in any method, the variable is going to be available to use within that method itself. It cannot be used, it cannot be available outside the method. That means the scope of variable defines the section of the code in which the variable is available. That means in that M1 section itself, if you declare any variable in M1, in that M1 section itself, your variable is available for use. And if you declare any variable in a class, and that variable can be used within that class itself, it cannot be used outside the class. It can be used depending upon the access specifier that you are going to take, and that is secondary issue, but try to understand this. That's access specifiers and all that, don't link up that with this. So the secondary issue, primary thing is the scope, in the sense over what region the variable is available for use. That's what the meaning of scope. As general rule, the variables are defined within the block, are not accessible outside that block, right? So that is what the meaning of scope. Is it clear for everyone? Response, students.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
సో వెరీ సింపుల్ వర్డ్స్ లో చెప్పాలంటే, మీరు ఒక మెథడ్ లో ఒక వేరియబుల్ తీసుకుంటే ఆ వేరియబుల్ ని ఆ మెథడ్ లోనే యూజ్ చేయాలి. ద స్కోప్ ఆఫ్ దట్ వేరియబుల్ ఈస్ విత్ ఇన్ దట్ లిమిట్. స్కోప్ ఇండికేట్స్ ద విజిబిలిటీ ఓవర్ వాట్ రీజన్ ద వేరియబుల్ ఈస్ అవైలబుల్ ఫర్ యూస్. ఓకే, and you already come across storage classes in C language. You heard about the term called scope and lifetime. Right, let's go with lifetime. What do you mean by lifetime of variable? A lifetime of variable refers to how long variable exists before it is destroyed. How long the variable exists before it's destroyed. Destroying the variable means deallocating the memory for that memory that was allotted to that variables. Memory allocated to that variables when it is declaring, right? So very simple words I'm saying here, try to understand. Same example, suppose from this main method, let us assume from main method I'm going to call this M1, public static void main, and I'm going to call this M1 string args. String args. And from this M1 method, I'm calling that from this main method, I'm calling M1 method. Now what happens is immediately control goes to M1. Immediately I creating some object, demo d is equal to new demo. After creating an object, with respect to that object, I'm calling this M1 method d dot M1. And after that, I'm going to call d dot M2 method. Okay. Now what happens is when I'm going to call this M1 method, immediately control goes to this M1 method. It executes this instruction. So before calling this M1 method, what we have done, we created an object. What we have done, we created an object. How we created an object? Demo d is equal to new demo. Demo d is equal to what? New demo. There exists some object called d. There exists an object d, and this d is a reference, and this reference variable is pointing to an object. Of demo class. Is pointing to an object of demo class. Inside this demo class, first thing, memory is going to be allocated for a variable called c, and then what two methods are there? Two methods are there, and those two methods, the memory will be there. Void space M1, and the code of those methods are going to be stored, but memory is not allocated for this variable called a and b. Just method for method, it will be there, right? So what happens is whenever we are going to call this, whenever we created this was the status. This was a status. It contains the variables as well as what methods, M1 method and then M2 method, right? Whenever we are calling this M1 method, immediately control goes to this M1 method. Inside this M1 method, it sees the variable called int space a. It sees the variable called int space a. Then what happens here? After seeing that, after whenever the control is going to be, that means whenever the JVM is going to take the code of this M1, the JVM is going to take the code of this M1. So whenever JVM is going to execute this M1 method, control goes to this M1 method whenever it sees the variable called A, and for this variable the memory is going to be allocated. For this variable the memory is going to be allocated. Now this variable contains some value. Let us assume we might be giving some value or we may not be giving any value, and like that the memory is going to be allocated inside your memory, inside your RAM or primary memory. The memory is going to be allocated for this variable called A. So whenever the JVM is going to execute this complete code, the complete logic of this M1 is going to be executed. M1 is going to be executed. After execution of this complete M1, control return backs from M1 to what? The next instruction, that is M2. So whenever the control has been returned back from M1 to this main function, immediately this variable is going to be destroyed. Immediately this variable is going to be destroyed. The variable doesn't remains in memory because the control is not there in this M1. So the memory is going to be deallocated for this A. Again, when you call M2 method, then control goes to this M2 method and the memory is going to be allocated for this B. The memory is going to be allocated for this B. After allocating memory for this, what it executes all the instructions in M2. Again, control return backs to what? The next instruction in main. So what happens whenever the control has been returned back from M2 to main, then the memory allocated for this B is going to be destroyed. And whenever this main function is going to be terminated, if there is no instructions and your program execution is going to be completed, means then your complete D object is going to be removed from memory. D object is going to be removed from memory. That's the meaning of what your lifetime. Lifetime refers to how long the variable exists before it is destroyed. How long the variable is going to be exist before it destroyed. That means whenever you are executing any method, as soon as the control is there in that particular method, the variable is going to be inactive. The variable is going to be what? Active. The variable will be there in the memory. Whenever the control has been returned back from that method to main method or any other method, main method, after executing all the instructions in M1, there are no instructions to execute this in M1 method, then control return backs to the calling method. And whenever the control has been returned back, then this method is going to be the variables which was being used by the compiler or the JVM is going to be deallocated, are going to be what? Deallocated. Suppose you have one more scenario that your M1 is going to call M2. Let us assume that your M1 is going to call M2. Your M1 is going to call here M2 method. Okay. Now what happens here? Control will be in such a way that from main it goes to M1. From main it goes to M1. In M1 the memory is going to be allocated for this A. The memory is going to be allocated for this A. After allocating memory for this A, and the control goes from this from this M1 to what? Again M2. Here again it executes all the instruction, but the memory is not going to be deallocated for this A. Why? Means there might be some more instructions. There might be some more after this M2. There might be some more instructions to execute. That's the reason it's not going to be deallocated. After executing all those things, again control return backs to M1. Whenever the control has been returned back to this M1, if there are no instructions, then control is going to be written back to the calling function. Whenever the control has been returned back to the calling function, then the memory is going to be deallocated. That means a blind assumption that if you're giving some work to you, then you are doing that particular work and you are submitting back to me. Whenever you submitted that work back to me, means then what happens? I'm going to consider that you fulfilled your responsibility. You right now you don't have any responsibility. Then from my brain I'm thinking that now some ex student is going to be free. Is what free? Suppose I'm giving some work to you and you are handovering that part, some part of the work to some other person, and right now you are sitting idle and you are going to do some other thing with that work which was received from another student. Suppose ABC is there, A is assigning some work to B and B is assigning some part of his work to what? C, because C only can do it. So after completion of C work, and then D has to do something. So after completion of C is going to give the same back to what? B, and B is going to do the processing and B is going to do remaining part of the work and submitting that thing to what? A. So what happens whenever the work has been assigned from B to C, C is returning back to this work to what B. Now B is going to think that C is free. So I don't need of anything with respect to what C. C is going to be removed and B is going to submit the work to A. Now what happens? B is also going to be removed after completion of work, after execution of this complete thing, and my work is going to be fulfilled. I'm submitting it to what other, so that A is going to be removed. That's what the scenario. Right, I hope everyone understood. Very simple words you can remember. As soon as the control present in any function, then the variable is going to be in memory. The variable is going to be in memory. Suppose someone may be asking you that what is the lifetime of variable which was declared in a method, then you can say that the amount of time taken for execution of that particular method is going to be the lifetime of that variable. Suppose that M1 method takes 10 seconds of time for execution, then the lifetime of that variable is going to be what? 10 seconds. Okay, that is what the meaning of lifetime. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Like, make a note of this, all of you, fast.
Sir,
Go ahead.
static keyword local variables enduku sir vaadaru?
I will address this issue. Don't worry. Because in static methods, I will be addressing this issue. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Completed this. Make it fast. We are running out of time. When your CRT will start today? 2:30 or 1:30 or 2 o'clock?
1:30.
1:30, sir.
You're completely busy with the classes, right? From last 3 days, you're completely free. Now, from today onwards, there won't be any internet issue. Get ready for your online classes. And there won't be any postponed and all. Continuous classes will be there. All precautions they are taken. We are ready with full-fledged internet connectivity. Okay, completed. Response, students, completed. Students respond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. Next, keep adding method. Keep adding method. What do you mean by method? Very simple words. A method is nothing but a block of statements or set of instructions that performs a particular task. A method is nothing but set of instructions that performs a particular task. In Java, we can define a method inside a class, whereas in C++, we can write a method outside the class by using scope resolution operator. But in Java, we don't have such kind of things. We are not in a position to write a simple instruction outside a class apart from import. We are not supposed to write any other thing in outside the class in Java. So in Java, the method should be defined inside a class. Okay, so what a method is nothing but a set of instructions that performs a particular task. In Java, the method should be defined inside a class, and we have different types of methods. In case of C, you'll be seeing only one method, two types of methods: predefined method and then user defined method. And C++ also, I think, two methods you'll be seeing, and one more method you might be seeing about virtual keyword you'll be seeing. But coming to this case, in Java, we'll be having 4 types of methods: instance method, static method, factory method, abstract method. Instance method, static method, factory method, abstract method. So what do you mean by instance method? What do you mean by static, factory, and then abstract method? We'll be discussing clearly. But in your syllabus, you'll be having instance method, static method, and abstract method. You don't have the concept called factory method in your syllabus. It's not there in J2SC. It will be there in J2W. But even though I will be saying you what do you mean by this factory method, I will be explaining you about this factory method clearly. I will be finding different examples about this factory method. Okay, so I hope you have written this: instance method, static method, abstract method, factory method. Among this, now we'll be discussing about this instance methods and static method. Abstract method, I think we'll be going in second unit. We'll be discussing about this abstract method in second unit. What do you mean by abstract method? For understanding this abstract method, you need to know about the meaning of abstract class. You need to know the meaning of what? Abstract class. There exists something called as abstract class, and that you need to know first before knowing this abstract method. Okay, clear with this, everyone? A very simple thing. A method is nothing but block of instructions or set of instructions that performs particular task, and we have 4 types of methods. Can I proceed?
Yes, sir.
So what is the syntax? As I said that a method should be taken inside a class. And what will be the syntax for this method? The syntax for this method is going to be the first thing is going to be access specifier, and access modifier, return type, and then method name. A very simple, very simple it is. Don't get confused. A general thing how you are going to write your method, how you are going to write method in C language, or how you are going to write method in C++ and all. Response, students. How you are going to write a method in C or C++? What's the syntax?
Return type followed by function
Return
name
type
followed by
space,
parameter.
return type space function name. In the place of function name, we'll be having something called as method name. After that, we'll be taking what? Arguments. If you are going to pass 2 arguments, then we'll be taking int a comma b or float a comma b, and then opening brace and closing brace. Opening brace and closing brace. This is what? It's the same thing. The return type, what we have in C++ and Java, will be taking return type followed by method name followed by arguments. But additionally, 2 more things are going to be added everywhere in Java. One is access specifier. One is access specifier. Other one is what? Access modifier. Other one is what? Access modifier. One is going to be access specifier. Other one is going to be access modifier. These 2 things are going to be added for everything you're observing from beginning of the time. For declaring instance variable also, we'll be taking this access specifier and access modifier. And for what declaring this methods also, will be taking access specifier and access modifier. And for class also, we'll be taking access specifier and access modifier. Okay, so what will be taking in case of access specifier? Can anyone, what are the things that will be taking in access specifier, and what are all things that will be taking in access modifier? Can anyone at least access specifier?
Public, private,
private,
protected.
Very good. Public, private, protected. Among this, you know the meaning of private. Private means it cannot be used outside the class. Anything if you have private and cannot be used outside the class. And you know the meaning of public also. If you are going to take public, means it can be used everywhere. Everywhere you can use, irrespective of what packages, everywhere you can use. At least remember these 2 things, public and then protected. And one more thing is, if you're not going to take any keyword, that means no keyword if you are taking, either if you're not going to take public, private, protected, then what happens? It comes under default. It comes under what? Default. If you're not going to take any keyword, no keyword means it can be considered as what? Default. It is going to be considered as what? Default access specifier if you're not going to take any keyword. If you're not going to take any keyword, suppose you are not interested to take any keyword, means then Java compiler consider it as a default. For default also some rule is there. You know 2 rules, one is public, other one is private. Private means it can be used within that only. Public means anywhere we can use. But you have some problem with protected and default. I will be explaining you in packages in unit 2. Okay, now in the place of access modifier, we can take, can anyone guess what are all access in the place of access modifier, what we can take? Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess?
Final static.
Amma?
Final abstract strict FP.
Final abstract strict FP. Where we are used this, we are used for what variables, I think, right? Okay, so we can use abstract, sorry, static. We can use a final keyword. We can use what? Abstract. Strict FP, I don't think. And then one more keyword that we can use. Let's see what are all things that we can use. Okay, those things was not specified over here. Okay, so this abstract, static, final, abstract. I think one more should be there. Just wait. Okay, I will discuss these things. These things we can use in the place of access modifier. We can use static, abstract, and then final. Forget about this final. Where we'll be using this final, I will be discuss later. But try to remember these two things. If you are taking static keyword here, then it becomes a static method. If you take abstract keyword here, then it becomes what? Abstract method. If you're not going to take anything, then it becomes an instance method. If you're not going to take anything, then it becomes what? A instance method. Okay, so in the place of access specifier, what we'll be taking, will be taking public, private, protected, and then default. In the place of access modifier, we'll be taking static and then abstract. These two keywords will be taking. So abstract and then static. Static, if you take, means the static method. If you take abstract, means it becomes what? A abstract method. And in the place of return type, what we can take in the place of return type? In the place of return type, what we can take? In the place of return type, what we can take? Respond, what we can take?
Void, int,
Int, char, float, double, bool, and then void. Okay, and then void. You can take any object also, it doesn't matter. If you take any object also, it doesn't matter, but I will discuss about this later. So int, char, float, double, what things you can take. Suppose if you take int, means the meaning of this is this method gives integer value. Char means this method gives character value. Float means this method gives float value. Double means this method gives double value. Bool means it gives what? Boolean value. And void means it takes what? What do you say? It takes what? Void means it doesn't give any value. It doesn't give any value. Okay, so this is how we'll be taking in case of return type. And coming to this method name, whenever you are going to take this method name, we need to follow rules of identifiers. Rules of identifiers we need to follow. Rules of identifiers. What are the rules of identifiers? An identifier must start with what? Alphabetic character or underscore, and dollar. Remaining characters can be alphabets, digits, or underscore, right? And next thing is what are all rules? Remaining rules. No
Keyword
keyword.
must not be.
No keyword
Should
is
not
used as
be a keyword.
identifier. No keyword is used as identifier. Next.
It should
No
not
Name
contain
spaces.
special character.
No spaces and special symbols are allowed in identifier. There's 4 things I said to remember. Rules of identifier we need to follow, and next thing is naming convention. Naming conventions we need to follow. What do you mean by naming conventions? What's the naming convention for method? It should start with what? Lowercase. It should start with lowercase, and internal word must start with uppercase. Internal word must start with what? Uppercase. Here arguments, the list of arguments, how you will be taking in case of C language and all, C++ and all, the same way you will be taking here also arguments. You'll be taking int A, and then int space B, and then you can take what? Float space C. Like that you can take arguments how you are taking in case of C language. Like that you'll be taking the way arguments over here. Okay, so this is what an information about your method. This was a syntax for declaring a method. This was a syntax for declaring a method, right? So access specifier space, access modifier space, return type space, method name, arguments. In the place of access specifier, we'll be writing either public, private, protected, and then default. In the place of access modifier, we'll be taking static and then abstract. In the place of return type, we'll be going with int, char, float, double, boolean, and then void. In the place of method name, we need to follow the rules of identifier, as well as we need to follow the naming convention for method. In the place of arguments, how many number of arguments you want to take, and those number of arguments list that we need to take along with the data type. This was a syntax for declaring any method, either it might be instance method or static method, or any type of method or abstract method. Any type of method you need to take in this as per this syntax. It cannot be what taken just like how you are taking in C and C++. Okay, try to take the syntax of this method syntax, everyone, fast, and then we'll be entering into the programming part. Is it clear for everyone? Respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Make a note. Okay, completed. This was a syntax. You can take, or this one you can take. Completed. Response, students. Respond. Have you completed or not? Students, respond. Have you completed?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So let's keep it in instance method. What do you mean by instance method? A method which was declared inside a class without any modifier. Without any modifier, if you are declaring any method inside a class, if you are declaring any method inside a class without any modifier. Without any modifier means we were not supposed to use this abstract. We were not supposed to use this abstract static and then anything final anything what you are not supposed to use any access modifier. If we need to remove this complete access modifier in the syntax, then access specifier return type space method name, then it becomes an instance method, then it becomes an instance method. That's the meaning of instance method. It is instance method without any access modifier. Without any access modifier, a method which is defined inside a class without any access modifier can be considered as instance method. This instance method can act upon instance variables and instance variables. This instance method can access instance variables. Next point is this instance method can be called with respect to object. With respect to what? Object. Just like how you are going to call instance variables, demo d is equal to new demo d dot x d dot y, like that you'll be using instance variables. In the same way, we can call d dot m1 d dot m2. I think you already know this point and many times we used it. Instance method can be called with respect to object, that is object name dot method name, object name dot method name. And from one instance method we can call another instance method. From one instance method we can call another instance method. This is very important point. Suppose we have two methods in a class m1 and m2. From this m1 I can call m2, or from this m2 I can call what? M1. Like that you can call from one instance method to what? Another instance method directly. And this instance method can access instance variables as well as static variables. This instance method can access both the instance variables as well as what? Static variables. 3 points you need to remember. First point is instance method can access instance variables and static variables. If I'm specifying this point, means there is some other point that you need to note down in static variable that I will discuss. Instance variable can access instance variables as well as what? Static variables. From one instance method we can call another instance method. From another instance method. Okay, so this was a thing that you need to remember. Okay, make a note of all these things. Is very simple. An instance method, which is defined inside a class without any modifier can be considered as instance method. And next, instance method can access instance variables and static variable. This instance method can be called with respect to object, and from one instance method we can call another instance method. Okay, is it clear for everyone? Any doubts in this? Is very, very simple. We can access two types of variables, and from one instance method we can call another instance method. If you're not going to take any access modifier, then it can be considered as what? Instance variable. Okay, clear with this everyone? Any doubts?
Yes, sir.
Make a
Yes,
note
sir.
of this fast. Completed. Then we'll be entering into the programming part, and then we need to discuss a keyword called this keyword, which is very, very important. Completed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's enter into the programming part of this. We'll be getting some problem, and that problem can be identified with respect to this, and try to identify what problem we'll be getting. Just see, I'm going to with the first program, demo.java, a very simple class space demo. And inside this class demo, I'm taking one method called void space display method, and inside this display method I'm taking what system.out.println of instance method. And here you can observe here, and I'm not going to take any access specifier. If I'm not going to take any access specifier, means it comes under which category?
Default.
Instance method.
Default access specifier, right? Very good. After that, for access specifier, are we going to take any keyword in the place of access modifier? Are we going to take any keyword? Here I'm not going to take any keyword. By means, for instance method, we are not supposed to take any access modifier. And if you're not going to take any access specifier like public, private, protected, these three keywords, if you're not taking means, then it comes under default. After that, return type, I'm not interested to return any value over here. So void, and then display. Display means the name of the function. It's only one single word. Opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, and opening brace, closing brace. We are taking what system.out.println. And the program execution starts from main, and inside this main I created an object. Demo d is equal to new demo. Without creating this object, it's not at all possible for us to call this display function. Right? So d.display, 3 times instance method is going to be printed on the output screen. Demo.java, java space -cp. Okay. Right, instance method. 3 times instance method is going to be printed. So very simple program. I think we already seen it. Let's enter into the second program, Java space. Sorry. Right. So this is another program. You can you will be getting something different over here. See, I'm going to take the variables here, 3 instance variables. I'm going to take int space x comma y comma z, and then void space display. And inside this display, I'm taking what x, y, z variables I'm going to take. And see, students, whenever you have any kind of thing like in the class, we have instance variables, and here we have one method. And don't worry about the logic which was written inside this method. Don't worry about that logic, students. First of all, think what is there in this class. There exists a class called demo1, and this demo1 class consists of instance variables as well as one instance method. and the logic that was written inside this one system.out.println statement they are taken. Now let's come back to our thing like main method, because the program execution starts from main, so we need to worry much about this main function only. So main function is there. Inside this main function, they created one object demo d is equal to new demo. So when they created an object means immediately what happens? The object is going to be created like this. Object is going to be created like this d, and this d is referring to this object. D is referring to this object, and this d consists of three variables: x, y, and then z. Okay, this is x, z. So initially these values are going to be 0. Okay, 0. Now after this, what happens here? We have one more method. What is that method? Display method is there. We have a method called display. And what is the logic that we are written in display function? That no problem for that. Okay, now we created an object. Now this state of this object will be like this. State of this object is going to be like this. And with respect to this d, what we are doing is we are doing some manipulations over here. You can see they are doing some manipulations over here. You can see. And what is that manipulations that they are doing over there? So 1 minute. What's the manipulation that they are doing over there here? So they are assigned d dot x equal to 10 and d dot y is equal to 30, d dot z is equal to 89. They are giving some values. They're giving some values, x value, y value, and then 30, and the x, y, z values they're giving. For x, they're given value as 30, 80, and then 90. And with respect to which object they're given? D object. That means the meaning of that is for what D object, x variable for x, they're giving the value as 10. And for y, they're giving value as what? 30. And for z, they're giving value as what? 89. For z, they're giving value as what? 89. 10, 30, and then 89. Like that, they're giving some values for this d. And after that, immediately they're calling this display method. So whenever they call this display method, based on which object they're calling display method, with respect to which object they're calling display method? Respond.
Class.
Which object I'm saying here? Based on which object they're calling display method?
D.
D, right? So they are calling an instance method display with respect to which object? D object. And already D contains instance variables. D contains instance variables. Inside this display function, there exists one instruction. That instruction is what here? System.out.println of x, y, z. X some 7 spaces, y, and then says some 7 spaces, and then z. Now what happens here? This x means what we'll be getting? We'll be getting either 0 or 10.
10.
Yes, very good. We'll be getting the value as what? 10, 30, and then 89. Whenever I'm going to call this display function, and this display function is called with respect to which object that matters? D. And already with respect to this D object, I assigned x value as 10, y value as 30, and z value as what? 89. That means I taken one object, that object consists of some variables, and for that variables I assign some values like this 10, 30, and then 89. Later, I'm calling a method. Which method I'm calling? Display, based on this object. Now this display is instance method. This instance method can access instance variables, static variables, instance variable, static variable. It can call another instance method also. It can call another instance method also. But here I'm not going to use two methods. I'm using only one single method, that is display. Inside this display method, I written a logic system.out.println of x, y, z. So what will be the values of x, y, z means that depends upon which object calling this display method. D object is calling this display method. If D is calling that object, then D object instance variables values will be printed. Object instance variables values is going to be printed. D instance variables in instance D object instance variables are XYZ, and this XYZ contains 10, 30, and then 89. So whenever we are calling this D.D1.display, then 10, 30, 89 is going to be printed on the output screen, right? Up to this, is it clear for you? We created an object and we initialized the variables, instance variables, by using an object D.X, D.Y, D.Z. 10, 30 and 89 we initialized. After that we are calling d dot display. When you are calling d dot display, what happens is the object instance variables values will be printed on the output screen. Okay, is it clear? Up to this, response, students.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let's go with another object. I'm going to create another object over here. I'm going to create another object over here, right? So another object means then what happens if I created an object? If I created an object, then what happens? Again, block is going to be created, and this block is referred with something like D2. This block is referred with something like what? D2, and this D2 is referring this object, and this D2 internally what it contains. This D2 internally what it contains. This D2 internally contains X variable, X, and then Y. When our object is created like this, X, Y, and then Z. So this X value is going to be 0 initially, Y is going to be 0, and then Z it is going to be 0. Later we have a function, and the name of that function is going to be display. Later we have a function, and the name of that function is going to be what? Display. Okay, now up to this it is okay, fine. So we created an object and the variables X, Y, Z initialized with 0, 0, 0. And after creating an object, what happened is we initialized with respect to this D1. This D1 object instance variables has been initialized. So D1 dot X is initialized with 1, D1 dot Y is initialized with 0, D1 dot Z is initialized with what? 9. That means here X will be removed, and in the place of X will be having 1, in the place of Y will be having what? 3, and in the place of Z will be having a value as what? 9. Okay, and after that we are going to call D1 dot display. This time again I'm calling same function display, but with respect to which object I'm calling here? With respect to which object I'm calling here? Respond. With respect to which object? D1 object. D1 object. When I'm going to call this display function with respect to this D1, and what's the logic that we have in D1? Only one logic that we have: system.out.println XYZ. So whenever what this D1 dot display is going to be called, it goes to display, and at the time of printing this XYZ values, and will what it is going to think which values it has to print, either 30, 10, 30, 89 is to be printed, or 139 is going to be printed. Then what happens? The answer for this is on which object we are calling this instance method, whether we are calling D or D1. If you are calling D1 means then D1 instance variables values is going to be printed. If you are going to call with respect to D object means then D object instance variables values is going to be printed. And here we are going to call with respect to D1, and this D1 is initialized XYZ with 1, 3 and then 9, 1, 3 and then 9. Okay, like that the things will be there. Okay. Okay, and after that again I'm going to call D dot display. D dot display means this the display method is going to be called on this what object, and what are the variables that we have here? XYZ, 10, 30 and then 89. If I call D dot display means I used to get 10, 30 and 89. If I call D1 dot display means I used to get 1, 3 and then 9. That means for every creation of object, you'll be having separate memory for instance variables. You have separate memory for instance variables, and if you are going to call a method based on that object means, and that object related instance variables values will be printed or will be accessed. Suppose if you call D means D contains instance variables XYZ and the values as 10, 30 and 89, and those values will be used when you're going to call D dot display. And D1 dot display means you'll be getting 1, 3 and then 9. Okay, is it clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What will be the output? What will be the output? 3 times we are calling this display function, and the first time what will be the output we'll be getting? We'll be getting 0, 0, 0.
10, 30, 89, sir.
10, 30, 89, and next time we'll be getting 0, 0, 0. Next time
139.
139.
and next time we'll be getting 0, 0, 0. Okay.
10, 30.
Yes, very good. The first time we'll be getting 10, 30, 89, and next time we'll be getting 139. Next time we'll be getting 10, 30, and then 89. Okay. This is how we'll be what do you say? Executing the program. Okay. So make a note of this, or else I will be sharing this program with you. Make a note of this better. Completed. And this was a main point that you need to understand with respect to this instance variables. Okay. Many are there programs. So today I will be sharing you by making this zip. I will be posting it in the WhatsApp group, that local variables, instance variables, all these programs I will be sharing with you. Try to practice these programs, try to open these programs, and try to practice all these programs in your laptops and share the screenshots. And today you have to execute this program and try to explore. I will be sharing this instance folder with you, and try to explore each and every program in that, execute it and try to understand that program. Okay. That local variables programs, instance variables programs, I will make it as one zip and I will be sharing you today, and try to open those things and try to execute it. Okay.
Sir, మొన్నటి కూడా పెడతాను.
Now that's what I'm saying. Variables and then methods. There's two things I will be making as zip and I will be sharing with you. Try to execute it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And share the screenshots with me. Try to do in different ways. And if you have got any doubt, just see students, try to keep the theory notes in front of you and read out the points and execute it. When you are executing the program, you will be getting many doubts. Whatever the doubt that comes in your brain, and try to put it on the program and then execute it again. Suppose you have a doubt. So without what object name is it possible to call display? Remove that object, save it and compile it. What will be getting? We'll be getting an error. Okay, like that you need to think and you need to practice it many times. Okay. The only way for learning any programming language is writing programs in that programming language. That's it. Thinking about that programming language concept. Without that, it's impossible for you to learn programming language. Completed. Respond. Writing 10 lines,
Yeah.
how much time you will take? So let's compile this demo1.java. So d.display, what happened? Okay. Java space hyphen demo1. So we'll be getting 10, 20, 10, 30, 89, and then 1389. So let's look for another program, demo2.java. See, this is a program where two variables has been used, class demo2, and then I'm taking some variable called int space x comma y comma z. See, you understood or not? The first program, what is there? Just writing one display function. And second program, what I done, I created two objects and one instance method, accessing instance variable. Now third program, two methods. One is doing some manipulation, other one is what? Accessing instance variables. In what way we'll be getting output? And third, what will be getting? Try to think over it. Third, or the third program, what will be the third program, demo.3? Think over it. You need to catch it. If you know C and C++, you need to respond. You have to give response. What will be the fourth program? Demo.3, what kind of program it might be?
Passing arguments to the method.
Very good, very good, very good. So passing and arguments. First thing we have seen how to write function, and next thing we have seen how to call that function by using creating two different objects and by calling that. Next thing we'll be looking in how to pass arguments while calling a function. And we'll be facing an issue over there, and how to resolve that issue, that can be done with the help of this operation, this keyword. Okay, see, one simple thing, void space increment, will be using post increment x plus plus y plus plus z plus plus, and then we'll be using display function to print those values by taking spaces. See, same thing, I created two objects, demo2 d is equal to new demo2. First I call display, and then I call increment. I call what? Display. Next I created another object, demo2 d1 equal to new demo2, and I call display. D1 dot display, D1 dot D dot increment I called here. You can see I called D1 dot display. After that D dot increment I called, and then D1 dot display I'm calling. After that D dot display. Okay, let's keep this thing aside. Can anyone say what is going to be happened? Can anyone say the flow of this program? What is going to be happened over here from main function? First, what we are done?
Object.
Yeah, continue. Object is created. After that,
Default values are printed.
we are going to call a method called d dot display. Control goes to display method. In this display method, we'll be printing values x, y, z. And what's the values of x, y, z?
0. 0,
Yes.
0.
0, 0 will be printed. Very good. After that, after that, control goes to main method. In main method, again, we are going to call which method? D dot increment.
Increment.
Where it goes?
Void increment.
Void increment.
Void increment, it increments the value of x, y, z by 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Then after that, we are calling which method?
Display.
Display.
Control goes to display method. This time, what's the output we'll be getting?
1, 1, 1.
Very good, very good. After that, I'm going to create another object, and I'm going to call d1 dot display. Control goes to d1 dot display means which values will be printed over here?
0, 0, 0.
Very good. 0, 0, 0 will be printed. After that, which one I'm going to call d dot increment this time? Then what happens? X, Y, Z. The value of x becomes what?
1, 1, 1.
Wrong.
2,
2,
sir.
2.
Yeah, we calling here with respect to d object, and we are not calling with respect to d1. If you are going to call with respect to d means already x, y, z values are going to be incremented by 1, 1, 1. Now d dot increment means it becomes 2, 2, 2. Now d dot display, if you call, again I'm going to call d dot display. I not call d1 dot increment over here. Okay. Again, what happens? D1 dot display means what the values will be getting? X, Y, Z values?
0, 0, 0.
0, 0 will be getting, right? After that, d dot display means what the values will be getting?
2, 2, 2.
2, 2.
Very good, very good. Let's execute this. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. Two times we called. What we are done? We are called d1 dot display. D1 dot display. Two times we call. After that, d dot display. Okay. I hope everyone understood today's thing. I will be sharing the programs now itself, and in our subject group, this two things, variables, and then things, and try to practice this. If you got any doubt, post it in the group, or those who are completed executing all the programs which was given by me, share the screenshots. And one day I will be asking you about everything, right? You need to be ready with all those things, right? Any doubts if you have, you can ask, otherwise you can leave. Tomorrow we'll be discussing about the parameter passing for this display, how we can pass the parameters. Suppose I'm going to take 10, 20, 30. Then the receiving things is going to be what? Something like this. Here the receiving parameter is going to be like this: int space x comma y comma z. Then there will be something like, if you take same name, what is going to be happen, that we'll be discussing in tomorrow's class. And then we'll be discussing about static methods. By tomorrow we'll be closing off this methods concept. Okay, any doubts if you have, you can ask, otherwise you can leave.
సార్
Yes, go ahead, Srikar.
మీరు ప్లాట్ఫామ్ డిపెండెన్సీ టైంలో చెప్పారు కదా సార్, సిఈ ఫైల్ అనేది ఏదైనా ప్లాట్ఫామ్ లో ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవ్వాలి అంటే అప్పుడు ఎగ్జిక్యూటబుల్ ఫైల్ మాత్రమే ఇస్తాము, కోడ్ అంతా ఇవ్వము అని.
Yes.
మరి జావా ఫైల్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవ్వాలంటే డాట్ క్లాస్ ఫైల్ ఇస్తామా సార్?
Yes, dot class files will be combining together, will be getting jar file, Java archive file. So those things will be giving, and that is the mutual understanding between what the company and the customer. Okay, nowadays everyone is selling their code also they're giving topmost, except topmost companies. See, Srikar, the thing is going to be very simple. If that is going to be used for only, is satisfying only the need of that organization, then we can share the code. If it is going to be a customizable code means it can be used for multiple organizations, then no company is ready to share that code. The best example is going to be a banking applications. Suppose there is a one company who's developing banking applications of multiple banks, then they will not be sharing the code because almost all options are going to be same, except the names are going to be different. They will be sharing only if they are developed in Java, they will be sharing only .class files.
Okay, sir.
And have you tried this .c, .obj or .exe? Have you taken from one computer and have you run it in another computer? .exe file తీసుకొని ఒకసారి try చేయండి when you are coming to the college or any other thing, try to practice it. Any doubts? Gayatri, 84, 42. Srikar,
Yes.
any doubts?
క్లియర్ సార్, ఒకసారి ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తాను, వస్తే పోస్ట్ చేస్తాను.
Okay, fine. Everything is okay?
ఎస్ సార్.
Fine, fine.